It's been a while since we've actually gone over a Montreal Canadiens topic that's good. Like, all the past video ideas have been Michkov this, Michkov that, trading up, whatever draft-related conversation is popping up here next. It's been a lot of draft stuff, and I acknowledge that it kind of gets a little bit old. Oh, the Habs didn't take any prospects to dinner. Did you hear about that? Yeah, it gets a little bit daunting. So, today what I wanted to do was, instead of focusing on the draft and focusing on guys that could be Canadiens in the future, let's talk about guys that already are, and go over an article in the Montreal Gazette that has some very great quotes as to where we could see these players going the next little while. Thank you to Stu Cowan for writing this article and publishing it. The link is going to be in the description below. This is the title of the piece. Canadiens Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield are back together for the Grand Prix. The quote here in the subheadline says, "We want to build something special here as a team," the captain says after his teammates signed an 8-year, $62.8 million contract. Of course, this is an article about Nick Suzuki, and it's also an article about Cole Caufield. We're going to go over some quotes shared by these two in regards to the direction of the team, talking about both of them individually. Yeah, they talk about each other in the piece because, it's a pretty common thing for Canadiens players to gas up their own teammates, but what this article goes out there and does is it does a few things. It solidifies Nick Suzuki's, let's just say, leadership and persona as the captain of this hockey team, and it gives Cole Caufield a stage to showcase where he is at in terms of his own personal motivations with the club, how he feels about the team going forward, and of course, how he feels about his captain and the money. Take a look at the scene here. Canadiens captain Nick Suzuki is looking forward to spending time with teammate Cole Caufield during this weekend's Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Yeah, I'm not going to read that. I'm sorry. I'm not an F1 fan. I actually do have some friends here in Vancouver that are in Montreal right now because they're watching F1, but I unfortunately don't know anything about it, so I apologize. But either way, Stu Cowan sets the scene here. Suzuki was at Canadiens' practice facility in Brossard Wednesday afternoon to take part in an event related to this weekend's Grand Prix. Suzuki and teammates Caden Cooley and Samuel Montembeault took shots on Gunther Steiner, the 58-year-old boss for the Haas F1 team, who put on goalie equipment for the first time in 30 years. It was here that Nick Suzuki was asked about Cole Caufield's contract. Just in case you hadn't known, Cole Caufield did sign an extension. He is now locked up in Montreal for the next 8 seasons, and his AAV is $7.85 million. So it is cheaper than Nick Suzuki, who is going out there with an AAV of $7.875. So Cole Caufield and Suzuki are making very similar deals until pretty much the same time. Caufield expires a year after Suzuki does in 2030. But either way, the contracts are similar, and this is what Suzuki says about that contract. It's a great contract for him, and for me. I think eventually someone's going to be making more, hopefully. We just want good players. If he got paid more than me, it wouldn't have affected anything. And that's a really good comment, because I think a lot of Canadiens fans would say that when it comes to the offensive potential, when it comes to the ceiling, when it comes to what these guys are going to be at their best, it wouldn't surprise anybody if Cole Caufield outproduced Nick Suzuki for the majority of seasons that these guys are out on the team. In goals and in points, maybe. Caufield is just such a great player. It's just the sample size I debated the entire time was a little bit too small to justify giving him that amount of money, but the Canadiens said, who cares? We're going to give him that anyway, which I definitely do think was the right move. It's just, I'm happy they dissuaded themselves from that concern that I did bring up. Suzuki also says that he wants somebody else to eventually be making more, which is a really good thing because it indicates that he wants better players on this team, which if a Matvei Michkov or somebody eventually becomes that guy, then the Canadiens are on the right track. Either way, Nick Suzuki also says this, "I have a ton of respect for Cole and his game. We want to build something special here as a team. For us to be on team-friendly contracts and something that works out for both sides, it helps us get better players, and it helps us be a better team. You just saw Vegas win the Stanley Cup, and they've got a ton of depth. That's something we want to build here." The article then talks about how Nick Suzuki was a former Golden Knight, and I don't think anybody's really going out there and thinking about that anymore. Yeah, the guy's the Canadiens captain. You can buzz off, Vegas Golden Knights fans. Take your Stanley Cup rings and plug them into your ears and get away from this conversation here. Suzuki says, "I know a few guys that are still there. The team's changed a lot, but it was nice to see them win. I always like watching the playoffs and what it takes to get there. It was a good final." And it's good, at the very least, that Suzuki is not, like, sour graping over this, which I don't think it was apparent anybody thought he'd be doing that. It's just, you could understand if there was some sort of a resentment internally, maybe. Oh, man, look at this team. I was one of the first draft picks they ever had. They traded me away, and now they won the cup? That sucks, man. Like, internally, I wouldn't be surprised if a Cody Glass or a Bronstrom or Suzuki felt like that. Of course, they're not going to show it, but if it was there, it wouldn't be too surprising. We're all human after all. But for Suzuki to go out there and say, yeah, no, it's good. I mean, they won. I have some friends that are still on the team. Good to see them win. That's a pretty good sign of maturity right there as well, isn't it? Take a look at the next conversation here. It's written about Suzuki and Cole Caufield's contract once more. Suzuki said he found out about Cole's new contract the day before it was officially announced, when Hughes called him to let him know it was a done deal. I know people were pretty stressed about it. Kent told me, so I just called Cole and we spoke for a while. He's back in Montreal now. I know he's excited and it's great to have him locked in for that time so we can build something pretty special. I didn't really talk to Cole all season about the contract situation. I just kind of left him alone. Obviously, both sides wanted a certain number. I think they were able to come to that. I think it's going to be good for both sides. And so, with this in mind, Suzuki is laying the groundwork here as a leader. He's going out there and saying how good of a contract this is. He's saying all the right things in a pressure-filled market like Montreal, and Habs fans are eating this up, as they rightfully should be, because Suzuki, he's clicking all the right buttons. He's making all the right choices in what to say, and there's a lot of confidence here. Not just for Suzuki and Caufield, but for Suzuki in the team, for Suzuki in the future of this Montreal Canadiens squad, and how they're going to be assembled with both Suzuki and Caufield taking pretty cheap deals. And I say cheap, I mean $7.8 million is not cheap per se, but compared to what these guys could be, top dogs in their own hockey team, they already have Stanley Cup Finals experience, they already know what it's like to be first-line players on this team, and they're only in their early to mid-20s, so as they get older, as they get better, hopefully these contracts look like steals, and it's more likely than not that they will be. It's just really refreshing to see the Canadiens go out there with a captain who is not super old. Like, you know, it's no disrespect here to Shea Weber or to Max Pacioretty, but this is the first time in a while that Canadiens fans, who are especially in my age range, I was born in the year 2000, so my draft year was 2018, it's been a while for a lot of Habs fans to actually have a captain that they can grow up and see mature in front of their eyes on this team. Max Pacioretty, I know he was a little bit younger when he was taking over as the captain. Let's go ahead and check that out here. Max Pacioretty, he is 34 years old right now. His first season as the Habs captain was 2015-16, so that was when he was 26. Okay, so older than Nick Suzuki is right now, 23. Cole Caufield is 22. So, do you see what I mean here? This is sort of the new era of Habs hockey, being defined by Nick Suzuki and his leadership, and he's locked in there till 2030. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, all your opinions about Suzuki's comments on Cole Caufield's contract. How much confidence does this instill in you to hear what it is that he had to say? What are your thoughts on the overall direction the Canadiens are going down, regardless of what happens at the 2023 NHL Entry Draft? And how do you feel about Caufield and Suzuki going into the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj 99, and bye.